Straight out of East Blue. It's a One Piece manga review from Cool Guy for You. Alright, Chapter 3. Pirate Hunter Zoro enters. Alright. So, Kobe and Luffy have a chat on the way to the Marine base. Zoro being a monster, Zoro being a pirate hunter of sorts. And there's the curiosity if he's a good person or not. What seems fascinating is how Luffy is being selective of recruiting people. And might I make one other point here? I don't know all the ship terminology, but the very front of it there, the arc up, Luffy, he's sitting at the most dangerous, reckless spot. He's just sitting on that bit instead of sitting where anyone else would. I find that very interesting. He's sitting at the most reckless spot, especially even considering the gum fruit. He's weak to the sea, so if he fell in, he'd be doomed. And he's just sitting right on the thing. He could just fall off. It's amazing. Amazingly reckless. He's just fearless. So anyhow, Kobe finds Zoro a bad person because he was arrested. And Luffy is wondering if Zoro is a good person or not. Now, that's very fascinating in of itself, on all sorts of different basis, because just because someone's arrested for this or that don't mean they're a bad person necessarily. I mean, you could have all sorts of different instances of things. You could have someone that's framed for decades in prison or jail or whatever the case, and it might not be true. Or you could have a bonkers law which is just beyond ridiculous, and the person wasn't necessarily a bad person, but it was just due to a stupid, dumb law, and unjust law, things like that. Just because someone was arrested doesn't necessarily mean they're a bad person. Everybody by default is, certainly not a great person. Everybody's fallible and all sorts of things like that. But I'm just trying to get the point across. Like there's stories where there's a lot of corruption with prison type stuff. There's a lot of corruption and stories about that sort of stuff. If you are out of your cell, they take you out of your cell for a minute. They bring you back, and then they do a search, and then they find a knife or something like that. Then you're stuck in there for even longer. There's a lot of corruption that can possibly happen. So it's not a good, perfect system to lock someone up and just have them go more bonkers. It's a totally messed up system. And, for this or for that, and the amount of time is just all messed up. But enough of me ranting about that kind of stuff. It's just an interesting topic, to be honest. So anyhow, let's see, I put in my notes, Luffy just carefree. He's just sitting on the small front bit of their little tiny ship that sticks out at the front, instead of just standing on the normal platform of the ship, the deck. Then we get them arriving. Luffy ignores Kobe saying to get a navigator. Just ignores him. And then there's a cool shot in the manga bit there. There's always a lot of cool shots. Luffy, like, yeah. All right. And, of course, Luffy's hungry all the time. So they eat. They go their separate ways and are probably becoming future enemies due to their different roles. Luffy, pirate, Kobe, Marines. They are not allies. Certainly not allies. They're enemies. So they're going to have to part at some point in more so of a way. All right, there's... there was the thing where Zoro's name, just his name, strikes terror in folks overhearing. So there's definitely something up. And Luffy wonders if Morgan, wait, hold up. Lieutenant Morgan is at the Marine base. And just mentioning his name as well spooked folks. So we get Luffy, who's wondering if the guy arrested Zoro is the good guy. And he also wonders if Lieutenant Morgan of the Marine base here, if he did bad. So the guy with the authority versus the guy that, got thrown under the bus, essentially. He's wondering if it's that kind of a situation. And that is a very interesting topic because there's all this potential corruption and, prison industry stuff, and judges possibly being corrupt and tied into prison stock. That's just all garbage. If any of that, if someone is, potentially putting people away because they have a financial interest, how someone can make money off people being tossed in prison than everyone paying for them to be there, that's just bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Way messed up system. Totally corrupt and upside down. Messed up system. But anyhow, I probably would bet the video gets demonetized because of those kind of comments. If you say certain things, the video, you don't even know what you say and the video will get demonetized. They don't tell you. It's just bonkers. So anyhow, let's continue. So yeah, Luffy wonders if Morgan's the bad guy. Bakana. And then Luffy, he's not impressed with the Marine base, the giant Marine base and giant guns atop the buildings. He's not impressed. He down talks their base. He down talks it. Quite funny. He don't know how to control his mouth. He needs to be more of an introvert. Even introverts, you can say something and totally mess up. Totally human. Happens all the time. Luffy has the guts to climb the Marine base wall, obviously to keep people out. And that itself would risk getting arrested. So he climbs the wall. Kobe IDs Zoro for Luffy. And Zoro's all tied up to a post. All tied up. He can't do squat. He's tied up to a post. And then Luffy ponders undoing the ropes. He's pondering to free Zoro. Zoro asks them to untie him, and he'll reward him. That's what everybody always would say, And he's supposedly been tied up there for 9 days. 9 days. Kobe is getting really worried at this point. And then Luffy don't find Zoro a worry for whatever reason. He probably thinks he can take Zoro on and kick his butt. And then we find ourselves moments later, a little girl uses a ladder to climb over the wall to offer food to Zoro. So he hasn't had squat for 9 days. Crazy. Talk about this and that. My goodness. So then we get a complete dirtbag that enters the scene. Son of Morgan, Lieutenant Morgan, Helmeppo. This guy, what a dirtbag. When you see someone that's on their high horse, this is that kind of a guy. This guy's on his high horse. This guy trashes the girl's rice balls that she slaved away and made for Zoro. Very good purpose. He trashes them verbally. Supposedly she messed up the salt and sugar. So she put salt instead of sugar, or whatever the case. I think that would be the case, yeah. And then, or maybe she used sugar over salt, not whatever the case. And then the guy, the dirtbag Helmeppo, he stomps her rice balls. All her efforts. He tries them, verbally trashes them, throws them on the ground, and just stomps them. He destroyed this little girl's efforts. It's just, what a dirtbag. You know, what else can you say? And then he declares freeing Zoro will, one would receive the same punishment. And then this dirtbag, he literally, the girl just crying up a storm. He orders the girl to be thrown, physically thrown over the wall. So she gets chucked over the wall. And this guy likes to push his weight around on the other Marines just because he's related to Lieutenant Morgan. So the girl gets chucked over the wall. Imagine the landing. Good gosh. So Luffy manages to catch this little girl. And then what the heck is with my notes? I'm trying to figure out what I meant. I guess Helmeppo threatens to torture Zoro. Zoro mentions that Helmeppo has to keep some sort of promise, and that promise is to release him. Oh, maybe it was that he threatened to torture Zoro for a whole minute or something. But yeah, there's something between them. They have some sort of deal. So he's tied up and he's to be released. There's some sort of promise that Zoro will get in return. Anyhow, Zoro has Luffy feed him the stomped, dirty rice balls. He's still willing to eat them. I mean, on some basis, who wouldn't after 9 days of no food and water and all that? But on another basis, he did it for the little girl. He did it for the little girl, you know? So, keep losing my place. Yeah, he ate them for the girl. He didn't eat them for him. He ate them for the girl. But I think a sliver was for him. And he requested that Luffy tell the little girl, that the rice balls are very good and thank you. So, does this guy seem like a bad guy? Does Zoro seem like a bad guy? Nay. So the girl is happy with how all that went. And, well, now she's happy. And the little girl tells the tale of folks fearing Zoro. Zoro, and we're getting the backstory here, Zoro killed Helmeppo's pet wolf. Helmeppo, being a dirtbag, allowed the wolf to run around the town, spooking everyone. You know, he just likes to be a dirtbag and push his weight around, all that. And then we got disobeyment of Lieutenant Morgan or Helmeppo Morgan, I suppose, equals execution. So then we get Helmeppo back. People bow to him. People bow to him. They get on the ground. This guy is just on his high horse. So Helmeppo threatens to kill off Zoro in 3 days for a public example of, you know, nobody opposing him. So essentially, he lied to Zoro. He's not going to set him free. He's going to kill him off in 3 days. So Zoro thinks he's, he wouldn't, you know, it wouldn't be a lie, something like that. So then we get Luffy's response to realizing that he lied to Zoro and he has other plans for Zoro to be killed off and made an example of. What does Luffy do? Luffy clobbers him. Boom. Bloodied. Clobbers him in one hit. Grabs him. Boom. One hit. And then Luffy, at the end there, he is convinced that Zoro is a good guy, and he wants Zoro as part of his crew. So he's sold, and Helmeppo surely lost a tooth there. So we got a little bit of justice there. So he reacted with or without realizing the repercussions that it would have, that he'd probably be targeted for punching Helmeppo or sucker punching him like that. Jeez, that was a good punch. So anyhow, that's chapter 3. So next time, chapter 4. So thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more One Piece manga review straight out of East Blue from Cool Guy for you. So let me know your thoughts if you have any. So thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more. I will see you up ahead. Take care, cool.